Maya Chen adjusted her tactical vest one final time as she walked toward the training facility. The morning sun cast long shadows across the concrete compound, and she could already hear the sounds of preparation echoing from inside the building. Today was the day she had been waiting for months to arrive. After 2 years of rigorous training, evaluations, and background checks, she was finally being considered for the elite Black Operations Unit. The facility buzzed with nervous energy as dozens of candidates from various military branches gathered for the final selection process. Maya scanned the room, noting the mix of Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Marine Force Recon, and Air Force pararescue personnel. She was one of only 3 women among the 47 candidates, and she could feel the weight of curious stares following her movements. Commander Roberts stepped onto the raised platform at the front of the room, his weathered face bearing the scars of decades in special operations. His voice cut through the chatter like a blade. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what will likely be the most challenging week of your military careers. Over the next 7 days, you will be pushed beyond every limit you thought you had. Most of you will not make it through to the end." Maya felt her heart rate increase slightly, but her breathing remained steady. She had prepared for this moment since she was 18 years old, when she first enlisted in the Army. Her background in martial arts, which began when she was 6 years old, had served her well throughout her military career. She held black belts in 3 different disciplines and had spent countless hours perfecting her combat skills. The commander continued his briefing, outlining the various phases of selection: physical fitness tests, psychological evaluations, weapons proficiency, tactical scenarios, and hand-to-hand combat assessments would all play a role in determining who would earn a place in the unit. Maya listened intently, memorizing every detail and requirement. As the candidates were divided into groups for the first phase of testing, Maya found herself assigned to Team Charlie. She quickly assessed her teammates, noting their builds, the way they carried themselves, and their levels of apparent confidence. Most seemed professional and focused, but she detected an undercurrent of skepticism from a few of the male candidates when they looked in her direction. The first day consisted primarily of administrative tasks, medical examinations, and initial fitness assessments. Maya performed well in all areas, ranking in the top 10% of candidates across every metric. As evening approached, the exhausted group was led to their temporary barracks, a stark concrete building with rows of metal bunks. Maya claimed a bunk near the back corner of the room, preferring to keep her back to the wall and maintain visibility of the entire space. This habit had been drilled into her during her previous deployments, and it had served her well in various challenging situations. She organized her gear with military precision, every item placed exactly where she could find it in complete darkness if necessary. As she prepared for sleep, she overheard conversations from nearby bunks. Several candidates were discussing their previous experiences, comparing deployment stories and sharing information about their units. The talk was typical military banter, but Maya noticed that some of the conversations seemed designed to intimidate or establish dominance within the group. Sergeant First Class Rodriguez, a stocky man with visible tattoos covering his forearms, spoke loudly enough for most of the room to hear. "I've been through Ranger School, Airborne, and 3 combat deployments. This selection process is just another box to check before I get my next promotion." His eyes swept the room, pausing momentarily on Maya before continuing. "Some people here might not be ready for what's coming." Maya ignored the obvious provocation and continued her evening routine. She had learned long ago that actions spoke louder than words, and she planned to let her performance do all the talking necessary. She reviewed her mental notes from the day's briefings, visualizing the upcoming challenges and mentally rehearsing her responses to various scenarios. The second day brought more intensive physical testing. Maya excelled in the endurance runs, completing the 5-mile course in just under 32 minutes, despite carrying a 40-pound pack. Her performance in the obstacle course was equally impressive, as she navigated each challenge with the fluid grace that came from years of martial arts training. During the weapons proficiency tests, Maya demonstrated exceptional accuracy with both rifle and pistol. Her scores placed her in the top 5 among all candidates, earning respectful nods from several instructors. She had spent countless hours at shooting ranges during her off-duty time, understanding that marksmanship could mean the difference between life and death in real-world operations. The psychological evaluations proved more challenging. not because Maya lacked the mental fortitude, but because the assessors seemed particularly interested in testing her responses to stress and pressure. They subjected her to intense questioning about her motivations, her family background, and her ability to make split-second decisions under extreme circumstances. Dr. Williams, the chief psychological evaluator, leaned back in her chair as she studied Maya's file. Your test scores are exceptional and your physical performance has been outstanding. But I'm curious about your decision to pursue special operations. Many women in your position choose different career paths. What drives you to seek out the most dangerous assignments the military has to offer? Maya considered her response carefully before speaking. Ma'am, I believe that excellence should be the only criterion for selection in any military unit. I've trained as hard as anyone here, and I'm prepared to prove that I can perform at the level required for special operations. My goal is to serve my country in whatever capacity allows me to make the greatest positive impact. The evaluator made notes in Maya's file, her expression remaining neutral throughout the interaction. You'll face significant challenges if you're selected for this unit. Some of your future teammates may not initially accept you. How do you plan to handle that situation? I plan to earn their respect through my actions and performance, ma'am. I understand that trust is built over time, and I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to prove myself worthy of being part of the team. As the week progressed, the number of candidates steadily decreased. Some were eliminated due to physical injuries, others failed to meet the rigorous standards set by the instructors, and a few chose to withdraw voluntarily when the pressure became too intense. Maya remained focused on her own performance, refusing to be distracted by the attrition around her. The fourth day brought urban warfare simulations, where candidates were required to clear buildings, rescue hostages, and neutralize threats in realistic scenarios. Maya's martial arts background proved invaluable as she moved through the mock structures with confidence and precision. Her ability to remain calm under pressure and make quick tactical decisions impressed the evaluating instructors. During one particularly challenging scenario, Maya found herself paired with Rodriguez and two other candidates. They were tasked with infiltrating a building where terrorist actors held several hostages. The scenario required perfect coordination and communication to succeed without casualties. As they approached the building, Rodriguez attempted to take charge of the team, despite Maya having been designated as the team leader for this exercise. I'll take point, he announced, moving toward the front entrance. Chen, you cover hour 6 and try not to slow us down. Maya maintained her composure despite the obvious disrespect. Rodriguez, I'm team leader for this exercise. We'll follow the plan we discussed during briefing. You take the second-floor windows, Morrison covers the back exit, and Johnson provides overwatch from the adjacent building. Rodriguez stopped and turned to face her, his expression challenging. Look, sweetheart, I've been doing this since before you learned to tie your boots. Why don't you let the experienced operators handle the dangerous work? The instructors observing the exercise made notes on their clipboards, clearly evaluating how the team would handle this leadership challenge. Maya knew that her response would be crucial not just for completing the mission, but for demonstrating her ability to command respect in difficult situations. Rodriguez, we have a job to do, and innocent lives depending on our success. Follow your assigned role or request to be replaced by someone who can follow orders. Her voice remained calm but carried an unmistakable tone of authority that caused Rodriguez to reassess his position. The team completed the exercise successfully, with Maya's leadership and tactical decisions earning praise from the evaluating instructors. However, she could sense that the underlying tension with some of her male peers was building rather than dissipating as the selection process continued. That evening, as Maya cleaned her weapons and prepared her gear for the next day's challenges, she reflected on the progress she had made. She was still among the top-performing candidates, and she felt confident in her abilities. However, she also recognized that the most difficult tests were yet to come, and she would need to remain focused and alert to succeed in achieving her goal of joining the elite unit. The 5th day of selection began before dawn, with an unexpected wake-up call. Instructors stormed into the barracks at 4 a.m, shouting orders and demanding that all remaining candidates be dressed and ready for immediate deployment simulation within 10 minutes. Maya was already awake, having developed the habit of rising early during her years of military service, and she was among the first to be fully prepared. 23 candidates remained from the original 47, and the pressure was becoming more intense with each passing hour. Maya noticed that the atmosphere among the group had shifted dramatically since the first day. Fatigue, stress, and competition were taking their toll on everyone, and some candidates were beginning to show signs of breaking under the strain. The day's first challenge was a 12-hour survival exercise in the nearby wilderness area. Candidates were dropped off in small teams with minimal equipment and tasked with reaching a designated extraction point while avoiding pursuit by instructor teams playing the role of enemy forces. Maya found herself grouped with Rodriguez, Morrison, and a Navy SEAL named Thompson. As they moved through the dense forest terrain, Maya took point, using her knowledge of land navigation and stealth movement to guide the team safely through the exercise area. Her ability to move silently through difficult terrain impressed even Rodriguez, who had been openly skeptical of her capabilities since the selection process began. "How did you learn to move like that?" Thompson asked quietly as they paused behind a fallen log to observe a patrol of instructors passing nearby. "Most people sound like elephants crashing through the woods." Maya smiled slightly as she checked her compass bearing. "My grandfather was a hunter, and he taught me to track game when I was young. He always said that nature would teach you everything you needed to know if you learned to listen and observe properly." The team successfully avoided detection for the first 8 hours of the exercise, making excellent time toward their objective. However, as they approached the final checkpoint, they encountered a simulated enemy position that required careful planning to bypass. Maya studied the terrain and defensive positions for several minutes before proposing a plan of action. "There's a creek bed that runs along the eastern side of their perimeter," she explained, sketching a rough map in the dirt. "If we follow it for about 500 meters, we can approach their blind spot from the north. Morrison and I can create a distraction on the western side, while you and Thompson circle around to complete the objective." Rodriguez examined her plan critically, but could find no flaws in her tactical thinking. "That might actually work," he admitted grudgingly. "But what if they detect you during the distraction phase? You could compromise the entire mission." "That's a risk we'll have to take," Maya replied. "But I'm confident in my ability to remain undetected until the appropriate moment. Trust me to do my job and focus on completing yours." The plan worked flawlessly, with Maya and Morrison successfully drawing the attention of the defending instructors, while Rodriguez and Thompson infiltrated the objective area. The team completed the exercise in the top 20% of all groups, earning recognition from the evaluating staff for their tactical innovation and execution. As they returned to the main facility that evening, Maya felt a sense of cautious optimism about her chances of making it through the selection process. She had consistently performed well in every challenge, and she was beginning to earn the grudging respect of some of her male peers. However, she also knew that the most challenging tests were still ahead. The sixth day brought the hand-to-hand combat assessments that Maya had been both anticipating and preparing for throughout her military career. Each candidate would face multiple opponents in simulated combat scenarios, testing their ability to neutralize threats quickly and efficiently, using only their physical skills and training. Maya's martial arts background became immediately apparent as she moved through the initial solo demonstrations. Her strikes were precise and powerful, her defensive techniques were fluid and effective, and her overall form demonstrated years of dedicated practice and refinement. The instructors observing her performance exchanged impressed glances as she completed each required technique with textbook precision. "Outstanding form, Candidate Chen," called out Master Sergeant Davis, the hand-to-hand combat instructor. "Your martial arts training is evident in every movement. Now let's see how you perform under pressure against live opponents." The combat scenarios became progressively more challenging as the day continued. Maya faced single opponents, multiple attackers, and situations where she had to protect simulated civilians while defending herself. In every case, she demonstrated exceptional skill and tactical awareness, dispatching her opponents quickly and efficiently while minimizing her own exposure to counterattacks. During one particularly challenging scenario, Maya was required to neutralize 3 attackers while protecting a wounded teammate. The scenario was designed to test her ability to maintain situational awareness while engaging multiple threats simultaneously. Maya positioned herself strategically, using her environment to limit the angles from which she could be attacked, while maintaining offensive capability against all 3 opponents. The first attacker approached from her left, attempting a grappling technique that Maya countered with a precisely timed throw that sent him crashing to the ground. Without pausing, she pivoted to face the second attacker, deflecting his strike with her forearm, while delivering a devastating knee strike to his solar plexus. The third attacker hesitated momentarily, after seeing his teammates dispatched so quickly, giving Maya the opening she needed to close the distance and end the scenario with a controlled chokehold. Exceptional performance. Master Sergeant Davis noted as he helped the role-playing attackers to their feet. Your ability to maintain awareness of multiple threats while protecting your teammate demonstrates advanced tactical thinking. You've clearly put significant time and effort into developing these skills. Maya felt a surge of pride at the recognition, but she remained focused on the task at hand. She knew that her performance in these individual assessments was important, but the real test would come during the group scenarios where interpersonal dynamics and team cohesion would play a crucial role. As evening approached, Commander Roberts gathered the remaining 19 candidates for a briefing on the final phase of selection. His expression was serious as he addressed the group, and Maya could sense that something significant was about to be announced. Congratulations on making it this far, he began. You represent the top tier of military personnel, and you should be proud of what you've accomplished over the past 6 days. However, the most challenging test still lies ahead. Tomorrow, you will participate in a final evaluation exercise that will determine who among you has what it takes to join our unit. He paused, allowing his words to sink in before continuing. This exercise will test every skill you've developed during your military careers. Leadership, tactical thinking, physical capabilities, mental resilience, and team coordination will all play crucial roles in your success or failure. Some of you may find that despite your best efforts, this particular mission profile doesn't match your strengths and capabilities. Maya felt her heart rate increase as she listened to the briefing. She had come so far and performed so well that the thought of failure at this final stage was almost unbearable. However, she also felt confident in her preparation and abilities, and she was determined to give her absolute best effort regardless of what challenges awaited her. The exercise will begin at 0600 tomorrow morning, Commander Roberts continued. You will be divided into teams and given specific objectives to accomplish within a 12-hour time frame. Your performance will be evaluated not only on mission success, but also on your ability to work effectively with your teammates under extreme stress. After the briefing concluded, Maya returned to her bunk to prepare for what would likely be the most important day of her military career. She meticulously cleaned and checked all of her equipment, ensuring that everything was in perfect working order. She also spent time reviewing her mental notes from all the previous exercises, looking for patterns and lessons that might prove useful in the final challenge. As she lay in her bunk that night, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought her to this point. She thought about her family, who had always supported her unconventional career choices, and her mentors throughout her military service who had encouraged her to pursue her goals despite the obstacles she would face. She also thought about the young women who might follow in her footsteps if she succeeded in breaking through this particular barrier. The weight of responsibility felt heavy on her shoulders, but it was a burden she was prepared to carry. She had trained for this opportunity for years, and she was determined not to let anything prevent her from achieving her goal. As she drifted off to sleep, Maya visualized herself succeeding in whatever challenges tomorrow would bring, drawing strength from her confidence in her own abilities and preparation. The final morning arrived with the same pre-dawn wake-up call that had become routine throughout the selection process. Maya was ready and alert within minutes, her gear packed and her mind focused on the tasks ahead. As she joined the other candidates in the briefing room, she could sense the nervous energy and anticipation that filled the air. Commander Roberts appeared even more serious than usual as he began the final briefing. Today's exercise is called Operation Nightfall, he announced. You will be operating in a simulated hostile environment where enemy forces have taken control of a strategic facility. Your mission is to infiltrate the facility, neutralize the threat, and secure critical intelligence before extraction. Maya listened intently as he outlined the specific details of the mission. The exercise would take place in a large training facility that had been configured to represent a multi-story office building. Enemy forces, played by experienced instructors and support personnel, would be defending multiple objectives throughout the structure. The candidates would need to work together to overcome these defenses while accomplishing their assigned tasks. You will be divided into 3 teams of 6 or 7 members each, Commander Roberts continued. Each team will have specific primary and secondary objectives, but the overall mission success depends on coordination and cooperation between all teams. Communication, leadership, and tactical execution will be crucial factors in determining the outcome. As the team assignments were announced, Maya found herself placed on Team Alpha along with Rodriguez, Thompson, Morrison, and 2 other candidates she had worked with during previous exercises. She was pleased to be working with operators whose capabilities she understood and respected, even though she knew that some interpersonal tension still existed within the group. Team Alpha gathered in their designated preparation area to review the mission briefing and develop their tactical plan. Maya studied the building schematics carefully, noting potential entry points, defensive positions, and escape routes. Her experience with urban warfare scenarios during previous exercises had taught her to look for details that others might overlook. "All right, listen up," Rodriguez announced, apparently assuming leadership of the team, despite no official designation having been made. "I've done this type of operation before, so I'll coordinate our movements and make the tactical decisions. Chen, you and Morrison will provide rear security while the rest of us handle the primary objectives." Maya looked up from the building plans she had been studying. "Actually, Rodriguez, I noticed that the briefing didn't specify team leaders. Maybe we should discuss the best approach as a group before making assignments." Thompson nodded in agreement. "Chen makes a good point. This is supposed to test our ability to work together effectively. We should use everyone's strengths to maximize our chances of success." Rodriguez's expression darkened at what he perceived as a challenge to his authority. "Look, I've got more experience with building clearance operations than anyone else on this team. The smart play is to let me lead while everyone else follows orders and stays out of the way." Maya remained calm despite the obvious dismissal of her capabilities. "I agree that experience is important, Rodriguez. But this exercise is designed to evaluate all of us, not just showcase one person's skills. We need a plan that allows everyone to contribute their strengths to the mission." The tension in the room was becoming palpable as other team members watched the exchange unfold. Maya could see that Thompson and Morrison appeared to support her position, while the other 2 candidates seemed uncomfortable with the developing conflict. Before the discussion could escalate further, Master Sergeant Davis appeared at their preparation area. "Teams Alpha, your preparation time is concluding in 5 minutes. I expect to see coordinated tactical movement and effective team communication during this exercise. The evaluators will be watching every aspect of your performance." Maya realized that the argument with Rodriguez was consuming valuable time that should have been spent finalizing their operational plan. She made a quick decision to prioritize mission success over personal disagreements. "Rodriguez, you take point during building entry. I'll coordinate overwatch and security positions. Thompson and Morrison can handle the technical objectives while we provide cover and movement support." Rodriguez seemed surprised by her willingness to compromise, but he nodded acceptance of the arrangement. "Fine, but everyone follows my lead during movement phases, and no one takes independent action without clearing it through me first." Maya agreed to the terms, though she privately reserved the right to act independently if the tactical situation required immediate response. Her training had taught her that rigid command structures could become liabilities in rapidly changing combat environments, and she was prepared to adapt as necessary to ensure mission success. Team Alpha moved out toward their assigned building entry point as the exercise officially began. Maya noticed immediately that the facility had been transformed into a convincing simulation of a hostile environment. Smoke machines created limited visibility conditions, speakers provided realistic background noise of gunfire and explosions, and role-playing defenders moved through the building with professional tactics. Rodriguez led the team through their initial infiltration successfully, using proper hand signals and movement techniques to avoid detection by the defending forces. Maya provided overwatch from her assigned position, maintaining awareness of potential threats while monitoring the team's progress through the ground floor of the building. The first major challenge came when they encountered a defended checkpoint at the stairwell leading to the upper floors. 2 instructors playing enemy roles had positioned themselves with overlapping fields of fire that made direct assault extremely dangerous. Rodriguez studied the situation for several minutes before making his tactical decision. "We'll use grenades to suppress their position, then rush their location while they're disoriented," he announced over the team radio. "Thompson and Morrison, you provide covering fire, while Chen maintains overwatch of our rear approach." Maya immediately recognized the flaws in this plan. The simulated grenades would create noise that would alert other defending forces throughout the building, and the direct assault approach left the team vulnerable to counterattack from multiple directions. She keyed her radio to offer an alternative suggestion. "Rodriguez, I see a maintenance corridor that bypasses their position entirely. We could avoid contact altogether and maintain our element of surprise for the primary objectives." Rodriguez's response came back sharp and dismissive. "Negative, Chen. We stick to the plan I outlined. I don't want to waste time exploring alternative routes when we have a clear tactical solution to the immediate problem." Maya bit back her frustration and prepared to support the team's chosen approach despite her reservations. However, as Rodriguez began his assault on the checkpoint, Maya noticed movement in a side corridor that indicated additional defending forces were moving to flank their position. The exercise was about to become much more complicated than Rodriguez had anticipated. The simulated grenade explosions echoed through the building as Rodriguez and Thompson rushed the defended position. The role-playing instructors responded with realistic defensive tactics, using cover effectively while maintaining disciplined fire on the attacking team. Morrison provided supporting fire from their rear position while Maya maintained overwatch. Suddenly, Maya's situational awareness training paid off as she detected the flanking movement she had observed earlier. 3 additional defenders were moving through the side corridor to attack Team Alpha from an unexpected direction. If they succeeded in their maneuver, Rodriguez and Thompson would be caught in a crossfire that could result in simulated casualties and mission failure. Maya faced a critical decision. Rodriguez had specifically ordered team members not to take independent action without his approval, but the tactical situation was developing too rapidly for consultation. The defending forces would be in position to execute their attack within seconds, and any delay in responding could compromise the entire team. Making a split-second judgment call based on her training and experience, Maya abandoned her overwatch position and moved to intercept the flanking force. Her martial arts training allowed her to move silently through the simulated building environment, and she was able to position herself advantageously before the defenders realized they had been detected. The first defender rounded the corner and found himself face-to-face with Maya in a narrow corridor that limited his ability to maneuver or call for support. Before he could react to her presence, Maya closed the distance between them and executed a perfectly timed disarming technique that removed his simulated weapon while placing him in a controlling hold. The second defender appeared moments later and attempted to assist his teammate, but Maya was ready for his arrival. Using the controlled defender as a shield, she maneuvered into position to engage the second threat while maintaining her advantage. A precisely executed throw sent the second defender to the ground, where Maya quickly secured his weapon and placed him in a submission hold. The third defender had heard the commotion and was approaching with more caution, but Maya's tactical position gave her multiple options for engaging him. She chose to use the element of surprise, appearing suddenly from an unexpected angle and neutralizing the threat before he could effectively respond to her presence. Within less than 2 minutes, Maya had single-handedly neutralized the entire flanking force that would have otherwise compromised Team Alpha's assault on the checkpoint. Her actions had been decisive, efficient, and tactically sound, demonstrating exactly the kind of thinking and execution that special operations units required from their members. Rodriguez's voice crackled over the radio as his assault team secured the checkpoint. "Alpha Team, report status." "Chen, why aren't you maintaining overwatch position?" Maya keyed her radio to respond while securing the captured simulation weapons. "Rodriguez, I detected and neutralized a 3-person flanking force that was moving to attack our position from the east corridor. The threat has been eliminated, and I'm returning to overwatch duties." There was a long pause before Rodriguez responded, and Maya could hear the surprise in his voice. "Copy that, Chen. Good work on threat detection. Reform on my position for movement to the second floor." As Team Alpha regrouped and continued their mission, Maya noticed that the dynamic within the group had shifted significantly. Her decisive action and tactical competence had demonstrated her value to the team in concrete terms that even Rodriguez couldn't dismiss or minimize. Thompson and Morrison both offered quiet congratulations as they prepared for the next phase of their operation. The team successfully completed their assigned primary objectives over the following hours, with Maya continuing to contribute valuable tactical insights and exceptional execution throughout the exercise. Her ability to adapt quickly to changing situations and provide effective solutions to complex problems impressed not only her teammates, but also the evaluating instructors who observed their performance. However, Maya sensed that some underlying tensions remained unresolved among certain team members. The selection process had created a competitive environment where individual success sometimes conflicted with team cooperation, and she could see that some candidates were struggling to balance personal advancement with collective achievement. As Operation Nightfall entered its final phase, Team Alpha was tasked with securing critical intelligence from the building's top floor and coordinating with the other teams for simultaneous extraction. The defending forces had been alerted to their presence and were mounting an organized counterattack designed to prevent the mission's successful completion. Maya found herself in a crucial overwatch position that provided visibility of multiple approach routes, while the rest of her team worked to complete the intelligence-gathering objective. Her role required her to maintain situational awareness of the entire tactical environment while being prepared to provide immediate support if threats emerged. The intensity of the final exercise phase was designed to test each candidate's ability to perform under maximum stress while maintaining team cohesion and mission focus. Maya could feel the pressure of evaluation, knowing that her performance during these critical moments would largely determine whether she achieved her goal of joining the elite unit. As she monitored the various radio channels and maintained visual surveillance of potential threat corridors, Maya reflected on how far she had come during the selection process. She had proven her capabilities in every area that had been tested, and she felt confident that she had demonstrated the qualities necessary for special operations work. However, she also understood that the final evaluation would depend not just on her individual performance, but on her ability to integrate effectively with potential future teammates. The success of special operations units depended on absolute trust and cooperation between team members, and she knew that some interpersonal challenges would need to be resolved before she could be fully accepted into the community. The radio crackled with reports from the other teams as they completed their assigned objectives and prepared for coordinated extraction. Maya could hear the stress and fatigue in the voices of her fellow candidates, but she could also detect the satisfaction that came from successfully completing an extremely challenging mission under realistic conditions. As Team Alpha prepared to move to their designated extraction point, Maya felt a mix of exhaustion and accomplishment that she had experienced many times during her military career. Regardless of the final selection results, she knew that she had given her absolute best effort and had proven to herself that she possessed the skills and mental toughness required for special operations work. The extraction phase of Operation Nightfall proceeded smoothly, with all three teams successfully reaching their designated pickup points within the specified time frame. Maya felt a sense of relief as the exercise officially concluded, but she also knew that the most nerve-wracking part of the entire selection process was about to begin. The waiting period while the instructors evaluated performance and made their final selections would test her patience and mental resilience in ways that physical challenges never could. The candidates were transported back to the main facility where they were given time to clean their equipment and prepare for the final phase of the selection process. Maya methodically cleaned and stored her gear, using the familiar routine to help manage the nervous energy that was building inside her. She had performed well throughout the week, but she understood that the final selection decisions involved factors beyond simple performance metrics. Commander Roberts gathered all remaining candidates in the briefing room for what everyone understood would be the final group meeting of the selection process. His expression was unreadable as he surveyed the exhausted but hopeful faces before him. Maya felt her heart rate increase as she waited for him to begin speaking. "Ladies and gentlemen, you have all demonstrated exceptional capabilities during this selection process," he began. "Every person in this room possesses skills and qualities that would make them valuable additions to special operations units throughout the military. However, our particular unit has very specific requirements and operates under unique circumstances that demand not just individual excellence, but perfect team integration. Maya noticed that several candidates were fidgeting nervously as Commander Roberts continued his address. The tension in the room was almost palpable as everyone waited to learn their fate after a week of intense evaluation. The final selection decisions have been made based on a comprehensive assessment of your performance across all evaluated areas. Individual interviews will be conducted over the next 2 hours, during which you will receive feedback on your performance and learn whether you have been selected for our unit. The interview process would be conducted in alphabetical order, which meant that Maya would be among the first candidates called. She appreciated not having to wait until the end of the day to learn her results, but she also felt additional pressure, knowing that the moment of truth was rapidly approaching. While waiting for her interview, Maya found herself in conversation with Thompson and Morrison, who had become allies and friends during the selection process. Both men had performed exceptionally well throughout the week, and Maya felt confident that they would receive positive news during their interviews. "Whatever happens, I want you to know that you've earned my respect," Thompson told her quietly. "The way you handled yourself during that flanking maneuver yesterday was exactly the kind of thinking that special operations requires. Any unit would be lucky to have you as a team member." Morrison nodded in agreement. "I've worked with a lot of different people during my military career, and I can honestly say that you're one of the most professional and capable operators I've encountered. You've proven that performance is the only thing that should matter in these selections." Maya appreciated their support more than she could express, but she also felt the weight of representation that came with being one of the few women in the selection process. Her success or failure would inevitably be seen as reflecting on the capabilities of women in special operations, regardless of the individual circumstances involved. Candidate Chen. "Report to Interview Room Alpha," came the announcement over the facility's public address system. Maya took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and walked purposefully toward what would be the most important meeting of her military career. Commander Roberts was seated behind a simple metal desk when Maya entered the room. Master Sergeant Davis and Dr. Williams, the psychological evaluator, were also present, their expressions neutral as Maya reported and took the offered seat across from the panel. "Candidate Chen, your performance during this selection process has been exceptional in virtually every measured category," Commander Roberts began. "Your physical fitness scores ranked in the top 5%, your weapons proficiency was outstanding, and your tactical thinking demonstrated the kind of innovation and adaptability that we value in our operators." Maya felt a surge of pride at the recognition, but she remained focused on listening to the complete assessment before allowing herself to feel optimistic about the outcome. Dr. Williams consulted her notes before speaking. "Your psychological evaluation results indicate strong mental resilience, excellent stress management capabilities, and the kind of ethical foundation that is essential for the sensitive missions our unit undertakes. You've demonstrated consistency under pressure and the ability to make sound decisions in complex situations." Master Sergeant Davis nodded as he reviewed his own assessment materials. "Your performance during the hand-to-hand combat evaluations was among the best we've seen in recent selection cycles. Your martial arts background clearly provided excellent preparation, but more importantly, you demonstrated the ability to apply those skills effectively in realistic tactical scenarios." Maya waited for Commander Roberts to continue, sensing that despite the positive feedback, there were still concerns or considerations that would affect the final decision. "However," Commander Roberts said, and Maya felt her stomach tighten at the word, "we have some concerns about team integration that we need to address. Special operations units require absolute trust and cooperation between all members, and we've observed some interpersonal tensions that could potentially affect unit cohesion." Maya had anticipated this issue based on her interactions with Rodriguez and some of the other candidates. She had hoped that her performance would override any concerns about personality conflicts, but she understood the importance of team dynamics in special operations environments. "Sir, I understand that some candidates may have initial reservations about working with women in special operations roles," Maya responded carefully. "However, I believe that professional performance and demonstrated competence will ultimately overcome those concerns. I'm committed to earning the trust and respect of my teammates through my actions and reliability." Dr. Kessa Williams leaned forward slightly. "We're not just concerned about gender-related tensions, though those certainly exist. We've also observed some candidates who seem to have difficulty accepting leadership or tactical input from team members they perceive as junior or less experienced. That kind of rigid thinking can be dangerous in dynamic operational environments. Maya realized that the evaluation panel had observed much more of the interpersonal dynamics during the selection process than she had initially understood. Their concerns about team integration were based on specific incidents and behaviors that could indeed affect operational effectiveness. Ma'am, I believe that successful special operations require team members who can adapt quickly to changing circumstances and accept good ideas regardless of their source, Maya replied. I've tried to demonstrate throughout this process that I can both lead when appropriate and follow orders when required. My goal is always mission success and team safety. Commander Roberts studied her for a long moment before making his final statement. Candidate Chen, based on your exceptional performance across all evaluation categories and your demonstrated commitment to team mission success, you have been selected for our unit. Congratulations, you will be joining the team as soon as you complete the required administrative processing. Maya felt a wave of emotion that she worked hard to control as the reality of her selection sank in. She had achieved the goal that she had been working toward for years, and she felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment and gratitude. However, she also understood that this selection was just the beginning of an even more challenging phase of her career. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down, Maya managed to say, her voice steady despite the emotion she was experiencing. We have high expectations for all of our operators, Chen, Commander Roberts replied. Your selection was based on your individual merits and capabilities, and we expect you to continue performing at the same high level throughout your career with the unit. You'll be starting with probationary status, which is standard for all new team members regardless of their background. As Maya left the interview room, she felt a complex mix of joy, relief, and anticipation about what lay ahead. She had broken through a significant barrier and proven that women could succeed in the most demanding military roles when given the opportunity to compete on equal terms. Later that evening, after all interviews had been completed, Maya learned that Thompson and Morrison had also been selected for the unit, along with 7 other candidates from the original group of 47. Rodriguez had not been selected, apparently due to concerns about his leadership style and ability to work effectively with diverse team members. The newly selected operators gathered for a brief celebration in the mess hall, sharing stories from the selection process and beginning to build the relationships that would be crucial for their future success as a team. Maya felt accepted and welcomed by her new teammates, and she sensed that the interpersonal tensions that had existed during the competitive selection process were already beginning to fade. Commander Roberts made a final appearance to address the new team members. You are now part of an elite community that has served our nation with distinction for decades, he told them. The training you've completed over the past week is just the beginning. You'll spend the next several months learning the specific skills and procedures that our unit requires, and you'll be evaluated continuously during that period. Maya listened intently as he outlined the training schedule and operational expectations for new team members. She understood that the real work was just beginning, and she felt ready to tackle whatever challenges awaited her in the months and years ahead. As she prepared for sleep that night in what would be her last night in the temporary barracks, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought her to this point. She thought about the obstacles she had overcome, the people who had supported her along the way, and the opportunities that now lay ahead of her. She also thought about the other women who might follow in her footsteps, and she felt a sense of responsibility to perform at the highest level throughout her career with the unit. Her success would help open doors for others, while any failure would potentially close those same doors for years to come. Maya understood that she would face continued challenges and skepticism from some people who questioned whether women belonged in special operations roles. However, she felt confident in her abilities and prepared to prove through her performance that excellence was the only criterion that should matter in military selection and assignment decisions. As she drifted off to sleep, Maya felt grateful for the opportunity she had been given and determined to make the most of it. She had achieved a significant personal goal, but more importantly, she had helped advance the cause of equality and merit-based selection in the military. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities to serve her country at the highest level, and she was ready for whatever came next. The selection process had tested every aspect of her capabilities and character. and she had emerged successful through dedication, preparation, and unwavering commitment to excellence. Her story would inspire others who face similar challenges, proving that barriers could be overcome when talent met opportunity and determination met preparation. Maya Chen had become a member of one of the military's most elite units, not because allowances were made for her gender, but because she had earned her place through superior performance and demonstrated competence. Her success represented progress toward a more equitable and merit-based military where all qualified individuals could serve in roles that matched their abilities and aspirations.